Thank you so much and welcome to Earground, New Voices Amplified. I'm excited, super excited to be having this program where today we'll be talking about a whole lot of things, amongst them the issues to do with artist royalties, the uproar against ZIMURA, and a whole lot of things. This is going to be a very, very charged conversation, I promise you. It's going to shift some of the dynamics within the music industry in Zimbabwe, hopefully. And I'm expecting a couple of guests that are going to be also taking part in the conversation, that are going also to add their voice with regard to issues to do with revenue collection, revenue disbursement for artists, recording artists, composers. And just to open up the conversation a bit, I'm just going to give a bit of background information before I bring in our guest. But I'm also going to give you some exclusive audio responses from members from ZIMURA and also from one or two artists that I have that spoke also on this issue. Well, this issue emanates from a number of things. Firstly, is to do with the increase of the registration fee. This is a once-off registration fee that every artist that needs to register with ZIMURA has to pay. And I did a bit of search, and according to the information that I found, the information that I've been searching and I've been following for some time, this is how the prices changed. So as of March 2018, ZIMURA was charging $50 for an artist to register. And as of February 2019, ZIMURA was charging $80. And as of September 2019, ZIMURA had increased that fee to $150. And as of October, the same year, 2019, the fee has gone up to $800, right? So an average artist, every composer who needs to register their music, who needs to get their music paid for royalties by ZIMURA, by different users of music. And when you're talking of users of music, it's not only the registrations, but this is music that is being played in clubs, music that is being played in banks, by radio stations, in public places, even in prisons, anywhere that you can think of. So music that is played there's money that goes towards the artist. For every play, an artist has to get money. There are online collection platforms, streaming platforms that are operating independently, but when it comes to Zimbabwe, ZIMURA, Zimbabwe Music Rights Association, is the organization that collects on behalf of artists. And when it collects this money, once or twice a year, it disperses that money to artists. But also, there's quite a lot of interesting facts. In 2016, 2015, it's on record that 40% of the revenue that ZIMURA had collected went towards their own administration. So that is 40% of what they collect, almost within that margin of 40% goes towards administration costs. And talking about revenue collection in Zimbabwe, looking at artists, looking at radio stations, is based on the annual general meeting, ZIMURA annual general meeting held on the 20th of September 2018 rather, right? As of December 31st, 2017, ZFM owed ZIMURA $173,000, right? And then as of, that is royalties from between 2012 and 2014, from ZIMURA were distributed to artists in June 2018. And then Star FM was up to date with this payment, and the other stations, the other smaller stations, they're saying that they are struggling. They are not receiving income as yet, so they've not paid anything. They're not paying. They're playing the music for free without paying the artists. And then ZBC paid $42,000 only during 2017, and then it owed $750,000 as of December 2017. And there was sort of a court case that saw ZIMURA take some of these defaulters to court. And there was sort of this issue ended up getting to Parliament, and then there was a discussion with the Parliament Portfolio Committee, and they discussed and they said it's quite difficult for them to actually force ZBC to pay this money, and they would need some kind of government support so that ZBC pays the money. But anyway, we're going to talk about a whole lot of things, and to start off with, I'm going to play this audio to you, and it goes like so.
Vadikani vangu vaimbi, ndinofunga kuti zvakanaka kuti hawana zvinhu zvisingakufambiri zvakanaka uine complain yako. Rega kupa influence kune vamwe vanoziva zvinoreva ZIMURA. Ione complain yako yokuti zvinhu zvako hazvisi kufamba zvakanaka nokuda kweZIMURA. I don't know. Enda kumahofisi avo. Vakasununguka chaizvo kukubatsira. Unovhurirwa mapepa ose aungade kuziva. Zvose zvaunoda kuziva unozvitsanangurirwa. Takambozvitaura pamusangano wedu watinoita ku College of Music. Tichitaura pamusoro pokuti usanetseke nekupa vanhu influence isina kunaka nekutaura mazwi anenge anotuka vamwe vanhu. Tiri vaimbi tinonyaradza mweya yevazhinji. Tinofanira kungoita zvinhu zvedu negwara rakanaka chaizvo rinoita kuti tirarame zvakanaka. Unotsanangurirwa nevanhu vari muhofisi. Ndosaka ofisi yedu iripo yeZIMURA. Ndapota vana vaMwari, edzai kuti kana waona zvinokunetsa usataure uri kunze uchiudza vanhu venyika yose kuti ndizvo zvaunofunga. At the end of the day, unozoonekwa kusafunga kwako kusina kuita zvakanaka. Enda unocomplaina uri paofisi, muofisi. Wona vanokodzera kuti vataure newe. Mazvita zvinhu musikare zvakanaka.
So that is the voice of Baba Mechanic Manyeruki, who happens to be a board member. He sits on the board, ZIMURA board. I'm going to break down to you who sits on this board, who is on this board, before I bring in also a response from the other, officials from ZIMURA that have also spoken about this issue. So, looking at the board, the ZIMURA board, there's Mr. Albert Nyati, there's Pastor C. Charamba, Mr. W. Jangaja, Honorable D.J. Puti, Mr. Mechanic Manyeruki, Mr. F. Batani, Mr. N. Ngube, Mr. P. Chifumbu, and Miss P. Ngube Chimini, who happens to be the executive director of ZIMURA. And then there's First Farai, is also sitting on the board. Very interesting personalities and characters there, nothing against him. There's Baba Charamba, there is no young people. I mean, I'm looking at the music scene in Zimbabwe. Majority of Zimbabwean artists right now are young people. Their representation when it comes to the board, I don't see it. Whether they don't participate, whether they don't make an effort to attend these meetings, whether they're not informed about what really goes on. But I'm looking at, if you look at ZimDance alone, the numbers that you look at when you're talking about ZimDance, it's so huge. If you're talking about Ebe groups, you're talking about hip-hop, we see so many number of young people, but these young people, you don't find them represented in this board. I'm going to give you a bit of statistics in terms of how many people are registered with the ZIMURA. And there's very interesting discrepancy when you look at the numbers that are registered with the ZIMURA and number of artists that are registered within a separate institution, a private institution that happens to be OS Music, which distributes music online. It's quite striking, discrepancy there, like in 2 folds, and you start to think what exactly is happening. But anyway, I'll stick to the facts. I'll try and, as much as I can, to stick to the facts before I bring in people to start this conversation and get it rolling. But in the meantime, I'll give you a bit of responses from this, and some of these responses also carried in an article. An article that is carried by Music in Africa, where the executive director of ZIMURA also responded and said something with regard to this question of an increase of 433% this year. And starting from late last year, you're looking at a 1,000% increase. And this is what they had to say. Just listen.
Hapana mbonzi badara. Registration fee is a once-off lifetime payment, and we explained that it goes towards the expenses that we incur for registration purposes. And music is a business pachayo. My royalties anova kuzimura, it's actually a third stream for a composer. The first stream is supposed to be your sales, which have been eroded by the same inflation in the same economy ZIMURA is complaining about. The second stream is your live shows, where you are supposed to get money every week or every weekend. ZIMURA is on the third level, but in this case, people are pretending as if ZIMURA is the only income for a composer of music, which is not true.
ZIMURA is one of the third levels of revenue collection, and she says people are pretending. I cannot identify who exactly was that, but this sounds like an official from ZIMURA. That artists are pretending as if they don't know that there are other ways that they can actually collect revenue. And I've told you who sits on the board, and now I'm dropping a bit of official responses, and then I'm going to pick some lines in terms of the expenses. But let's talk about these expenses. What sort of expenses are they talking about? It's quite interesting because in an article carried by musicinafrica.net, written by Ano Shumba, this is what she says when she talks about the expenses that have prompted them to increase the registration fee for artists up to $800 from $150. She says, okay, quote, musicinafrica.net, cartridges, bond paper, and so on are very expensive. One cartridge is going on for 3,100 currently, yet it was around 600 in February 2019. Service providers charge in US dollars, yet ZIMURA has no access to US dollars but pays through real-time gross settlement transfers. When members join and they receive a membership card that costs $300. So your membership card that you get from ZIMURA costs $300. A membership certificate costs $150 and other expenses at $320. So these are stationary administrative expenses that an artist has to incur when they register with ZIMURA. ZIMURA does not benefit from these fees. ZIMURA has 3,213 locally registered and over 1 million international members. Members do not pay any subscriptions. Only new applicants pay that at registration when they register. So I'm just going to continue with the audio responses, and then we open the lines and we start talking to different people that we've lined up that are going to be also adding their voice. Artists that are aggrieved by ZIMURA, artists that are not happy about ZIMURA. This is nothing personal, this is nothing about me. I've well-documented evidence of my interest towards the issues to do with the ZIMURA, dating back as 2013, where I've been talking about these things, and newspaper articles have been made that relate to the operations of ZIMURA, which I find problematic in so many levels.
ZIMURA membership fee imari iri kubhadharwa kamwe, ende hapana paunozombonzi ibhadhare kusvika upenyu hwako hwese, kusvika ufe hapana pauchazoibhadhara futi. Saka apo pamuri kuti kungobhadhara apo pari kurevei? Iye ichingobhadharwa kamwe chete. Kana uchinge wava memba zvakare, ngationgororei kuti zvii zvauri kuzowana semabenefits zvisinei kuti wazonzi bhadhara masubscriptions. Ukafa tichakuviga pachena. Ukange wava member for 20 years, wasvitsa 75 years, uchapiwa futi imwe mari yekungokutenda kuti uri member. Zvingaye zvinosanganisirawo futi kuti tinokupai legal advice pachena, tinokudzidzisai nezvecopyright pachena, kusanganisira nezvimwe zvakangowanda zvamunogona kungopinda mumaofisi edu tichikubatsirai pachena.
So quite interesting. There are some of the benefits that ZIMURA says they give to artists that register, membership when they are members of ZIMURA, is that they get legal advice for free, and they get a gratuity fee when they are over, I think, 75 years of age. an annual gratuity fee. But also, I mean, you get buried for free. You get a free burial service from ZIMURA if you're a member of ZIMURA, which is quite interesting because I've seen a number of artists that die in abject poverty despite having them made so much money. I don't know whether the problem with their record label or the ZIMURA or promoters management, whichever way it can be, it varies from one artist to the other. But looking at that factor, you'd see that it's artists are not crying for burial money here. Artists are crying for their royalties to be paid. Royalties that are owed as far back as 2014, 2015 for some artists. Some that just got paid earlier this year. But if you look at this money, there are interesting facts about it. Royalties that were collected prior to 2016, prior to the time that Zimbabwe introduced the bond note, you'd find they were being collected in US dollars. So what then happens now if you are owed royalties from 2015, 2016, and then they are paid today? Do they come in US dollars or you get them in Zim dollars? And some artists have suggested, oh, but why don't we register with SAMRO and have our money collected at SAMRO in South Africa? It's quite interesting. It can work for an artist who gets airplay in South Africa, but if you're an artist who's getting airplay from Zimbabwe, know that even if your music is played in Zimbabwe, there's no way you're going to get that money through to South Africa because they're not able to remit the rand to South Africa for you to get your money. And let me play the other one.
Hongu song inokwanisa kuita 5 people vanoclaim royalties because the song can be composed by one person or more vachishare percentages pasong iyoyo depending nokuti umwe nomwe akaita chi pasong iyoyo zvokuti panouya royalties for that song kana yakarizwa each person akakomboza pasong iyoyo anenge ane certain percentage yake yaanowana from that song kana ichinge yakaridzwa. Isusu kuno kana munhu atouya nesong yachona ane vanhu vaanenge akashanda navo pasong, tinotomubvunza anosfila fomu rinonzi split sheet ravanonyorerana pasi mapercentages vosaina kuitira kuti kana taukepture zvinhu musystem munhu anowana percentage yake pamaroyalties.
Quite interesting there. So like I said, I'm going to be having a couple of guests that will join the conversation, and I'm also opening it up to anybody who's watching who feels that either they're an artist or they're an expert and they want to give a voice. Just simply drop a comment that you want to be part, and then I can add you on to the conversation. It's as easy as that. Just drop a comment, but drop the comment. Don't drop it on the watch part. Go to the page Earground and watch from there, and then you're able to comment. When you comment from there, that's when I'm able to add you. But from the watch party, it's mainly for viewing. So just go to the Earground page and underneath the live stream, just drop in a comment, and then we're able to bring you on board. Talking about where we were, some artists are not happy, are not happy about the way that their business is being handled or mishandled by ZIMURA, and I know they're actually watching right now as we speak, and the message is for you, the message is for anybody who's within the music industry, that we need to start a process that sees positive engagement and dialogue between the artists and the revenue collection board, but also the broadcasters, so that artists are able to get money from their airplay, from their performance. Norman Theodore, thank you so much. I'm going to add you, but watch from a mobile device, and then I'm able to add you to the conversation. He's based in South Africa. He's a music expert, also working in the online distribution marketing, and is quite profound in terms of his knowledge. But anyway, for those that are just joining now, I am talking about ZIMURA, and I'm actually looking at the minutes from the last annual general meeting, and there's another annual general meeting that is set very soon. And like I said, what's interesting is that if you look at the board of people that sit on the board, the ZIMURA board, there is no youth representation. There are no young musicians, young artists, that are young composers that are represented on that board. It's mainly the old guard. I would call them the old guard with all respect. But some of these people, I would say they are not informed, they are possibly not aware of the digital dynamics when it comes to music distribution. I'll give you, for instance, anyway, I think I'll skip that example because it might create a bit of problems, but it's something that relates to one artist who was complaining that, they are struggling because of piracy, and I'm looking at the advent of the digital platforms and whether they are able to really comprehend and understand the digital innovation and how it impacts music distribution, royalties collection, and music sales, and them being also on the part of the ZIMURA board. But looking at some of the interesting information there, right? Some quite startling fact is that, for example, ZBC still uses a very manual tally system. So they don't have a digital log system that registers who has been played and when they've been played and so forth. One producer, one artist who's owed by ZIMURA, his name is Lazi T. He's going to give us his side of the story. But I was talking about the logging system that at ZBC is still analog. So they have to rely on sheets. So somebody has to write that, Lazi, just hold on there. Yeah. They have to rely on log sheets where they say this artist has been played so many times and they don't have a digital system. Lazi T, thank you so much for tuning in. Dave is resellers.
Everything is okay here.
I'm good. You sound a bit low. Can you speak a bit up?
Plotty.
Just 1 second. Let me check my audio levels. Yeah, can you say something? Dave is resellers.
Heavy.
Aye, cool. Let's run it, Lazi. Yeah, now. Let's talk. Your side of the story. What has been your experience like? ZIMURA.
Yeah, ZIMURA indakajona member yekuzimura. Right? Ndiri member yekuzimura saka ngantaura nchidaiso kuti 2014 handidi. Ansandapiwa mari yangu. Vanoti kana uda kuona mari yako tinokutumira messages. Handidi. Sign from 2014 asana mbotumirwa message kana mfoni mangu. But chinozonishambisa ndizodaiso kuti plot. But mangu madhara ari kumusoro aya, mari dzikabuda, unotonzwa munhu achiti akatonopiwa mari neZIMURA, but isusu hatina mari yatiri kumbowana. Saka ndozvimwe zvaindishungurudza sekuti what's going on? Kuti system yacho yakamira sei? Iyo kana like pane audio yangu chiplayer mai manja paplot. Ine madhara yangu aitaura kuti hanzi pane yataurwa. Hanzi ZIMURA is not for musicians. Pane andanzwa moti audio ndianataura pa audio iyo. Suppose kana achiti hanzi it's for composers only, it's not for musicians. Yangu aida kuedza kuti chi. Tamboni chatozokubvunzwawo kana iwe wacho iyo. Pane audio waplayer pataurwa kudaro.
I can play it again. Just hold.
Right. For the record, ZIMURA does not deal with musicians. For the record, ZIMURA does not deal with musicians.
Exactly.
ZIMURA deals with composers, authors, and publishers of music. So if you are a musician in the proper sense of the word, and you are not a composer or an author, and you are complaining, then you don't know what you are complaining about because you don't even know what ZIMURA does.
So you don't know what you're complaining about because you don't even know what ZIMURA is all about. What I find quite interesting is a lot of arrogance that I pick from the responses that we get from ZIMURA, that they feel a sense of entitlement, they feel a sense of like we're invincible, nobody can actually challenge us, and if you're not happy with what we do, go to hell.
All right, Gantara chidai so much. Can I just go to hell?
No, they didn't say that. That's my word. They didn't say that.
All right, plot. Because kana arrogance zavana dzidzodzo. Vanotinyengerera, vanonyengerera ma-artists pakuregister zvinhu. Vaida kungotora mari dzevanhu. Marenda awo ndo vanobhadharisa mari dzema-artist. But artist aregister haana chaari kuwana. Because how can you say ZIMURA inolidwa naFestivalai? Kana Festivalai ari muboard reZIMURA. Munhu akaba mari yechema kwaSivas Mashakadoko. Handiti, onzi ye munhu yonditungamirira kuZIMURA. Vakuru vanhu, we need new blood. Because chavari kuita, paipatanga kutaura vakuru vaye ndo varespect hangu mudhara, nditaura hangu zita ravo, ndo varespect mudhara wedu. Atanga kutaura vanhu ma-elders. But iri ndinozongorespecta kuti mudhara, pazvangu aitaura zvinakana nemusoro zvangu achitaura paipai. madhara avari kutaura zvisina kana nemusoro. Ngavape vanhu mari yavo. Kutotanga kuti ZIMURA ndiye macompozers ndechi tese ti macompozers, but we don't mari yedu hapana. Vasanzvenge nyaya yemari dzevanhu. What do you want is our money. Votora mari dzedu dzavanadzo votipa mari dzedu. Chero kutanga kuti anzi ndiye macomposer, tese ti macomposer. I'm a composer, I'm here, right? But havana mubvira vanhu like but 2014.
When was the last time you got money from ZIMURA?
2014.
2014. And
yes.
Since then, haunazombowana mari.
Andazombowana mari.
And you as a producer, or you as a composer, or you as an artist?
Yeah, I'm a composer. Because as a producer, I'm also a composer. Because pandoridza my instrumentals, I'm composing. Those are my intellectual rights. Because in ndikuridza ndikukompoza. Artists anoone my lyrics chete. Beat create and so I'm composing. I'm also a composer. You get it? Saka artist vibe anoenda achino register music yake vese pavanoenda anoenda achino Laza akacompose pakadai nepakadai. Saka panorira ma songs.
You have to get some money.
Exactly.
And when you spoke to them, paunotaura now, did you ever speak to them? Did you reach to them?
Ndakambodaro zvikanzi unomira nhamba yako kusvikira yakwana. Pane manhamba atinawo kuti atinoshedzerwa nawo imwe inokwanisa ngeri kana 1210 vamwe vari kumanhamba 910 handiri. Saka nhamba yako yakasvika ndopanoti vanokudza kana nhamba yenyu yasvika kuti muchikolekta mari. Saka yedu haigare yakasvika sei nhamba. Kune nhamba dzevamwe ndo dzinongogaradza unongoziva kuti ningi nhamba yake ndinogara iripo iyoyo. Vanhu mamasongo edu anenge achirira paredhiyo tichimanzwa takakomboza achirira. Saka mari yedu but asi ukazonzwa madhara aya unonzwa chinzi madhara apiwa mari.
But munombogara munoatend, do you attend ma-meetings avanoita as a member? Do you ever?
Ndakamboenda kakawanda but vanoramba vachingodzokorodza same zvinyaya idzodzo ndidzodzo. Unoziva kana bhodhi ichilidzwa nemadhara ka havana vision vanhu aya. Zvinongoramba zvichingotaurwa nyaya idzodzo dzamaitaura last year idzodzo. Takazoenda kuZBC tikadai music pairi kurirama vanonzi makombi tiri kutora mari. Because unoziva kuti mashopu kwainorira pesa ya music inorira mashopu ese makombi. Vanotora mari kumabhawa kwese. Tiri kutora mari tichakupai mari dzenyu. Ndo nyaya dzatinongodzwa idzodzo nemadhara.
What do you think needs to be done, ZIMURA? What do you think needs to be done now? Complaints anenge ariko zvizvo zvaunofunga kuti zvinofanira sei? Zvinofanira kuitwa right now if it were you making some changes. Zvizvo waikwanisa kuita kana usuggesta?
Ina handitoda kuti ndisuggeste zvinhu zvekuzimura. Ndoto ndapatotanga rimwe board risiri ZIMURA. Because for many years vafaila now. Andikuvati hapana nombondipoti kudatwa machanges rezimura. Vochero ukaenda mumwe munhu aita kuti machanges anongosvika opinzwa mubhodhi nemadhonzi mufanhu wangu kunodanza otanga puhwa kana tutu mari vachipanana mari ikoko vachigamba wana patarwa pamaudhio pafamba achita vanhu vari kudya vese. Vanhu vari kudya vese aiplot. Saka vangu vachitaura kudaro vaita zvekugamana unoona wewe usikonotsigira ngo because mabhodhi members ese. Saka vanenge vachidya vese paipai. Saka ndikatonopinda ikoko ndosvika ndosikonopinzwa futi muchitima.
And do you think ma-artists vari kunatsoziva zvinomirira ZIMURA nezvinoitwa neZIMURA and are speaking enough? Ma-artists muri kutaura here kana kuti ndezvinhu zvomakona kana kuti vasiri kuwana mari ndo vanenge vachingoita noizi vari kuwana mari vakanyarara?
Aiwa, ma-artists akawanda ka taura chokwadi ka vanhu vobva vanotya kutaura utya. Kundikazonzi kuti ndataurisa zvezimura ndozonzi ndakati and plus kuti ma-artists hatina kubatana. Kana ari Laza kutaura Laza anenge achingotaura ari ega handiti
zvinonzi Laza anopenga.
Laza anopenga anotaurisa anonererwa sereko munezvo. Ndakazonzwa kuti mune imwe comment yakaiswa mai manje chinzi hanzi kana Sana achitaura anotaura akamirira ma-urban grooves, Laza anotaura akamirira maproducer amene yakanyorwa ipapa musunu ndire zuro. Vandati aiwa Sana anotaura akamirira ma-urban grooves achimirira chii kusina board nema-urban grooves. Urban grooves aisiko anenge achimirira chii Sani Makalima. Inini I'm talking as an artist. Sani ndi artist. Nekuti urban grooves chete handiti. Saka ngatiti kana chitaura tese ngatimire as ma-artist. Because zviri kuaffecta isusu. Because ma-intellectual rights azvo zvedu zvatakakomboza isusu tikafa. Vanhu vedu vanofanira kubenefita mari idzodzo.
Hanzi muri kuvigwa nemari dzeZIMURA kami mamemba makafa? Ana kuvigwa nemari dzeZIMURA. Ndozvanga achitaura apa ramba ukabata ndipike just hold.
Vanopenga vanhu ivava vakamboviganiko.
Nerurimi rwamai.
Just hold.
ZIMURA membership fee zvii zvauri kuzowana semabenefits zvisinei kuti wazonzi bhadhara masubscriptions. Ukafa tichakuviga pachena. Ukange wava member
ukafa unovigwa pachena.
Ndiani artist akavigwa neZIMURA 1? Vatudza artist akavigwa neZIMURA. Zvinhu zvavari kuronga. Handiti kuti tanzi vari kuviga vanhu chichi. Hapana munhu andanzonzi akavigwa neZIMURA. Just like an equipment. Ari munoziva kuti pane equipment yakapiwa ZIMURA. Inonzi vapiwa nechiko zviya. Pane equipment yakapiwa ZIMURA.
Culture fund.
Exactly. Ichi ndinobenefita maartist ese vakarejista vekuZIMURA. But isati tambobenefita equipment yangonzi Sulu ndiye anobuda neequipment. Vane vanhu vavo vanovaburisa vemadhara kunzi vakada neequipment vanopiwa. Saka zviya zviri biased plot. Zviri biased zvinhu zviya.
Saka zvoitwa sei? Wataura ni zvoitwa sei? Wataura zvebhodhi nyowani. Zvoitwa sei nawo ndo pane crisis iripo. ZIMURA vari kuti ndezvenyu izvozvo isusu tikutoita zvinhu zviripo. Kana musuri unakirwa ndimi musuri unzwisa kuti zvinofamba sei. Tikuda tukukwidza mari. Hanzi takwidza mari idzi nenyaya yekuti macartridge ekuprinta certificate reZIMURA akudhura. Kadhi raunopiwa kuZIMURA hanzi raakudhura. Hanzi ndo zvatiri kubhadhasa.
Manje plot. Nekuda kwakakadhi ikako kobva tanzi vakwidzira mari izvozvo. Ko mari dzavari kutora dzemabhawa dzinoshande chii dzimwe dzacho? Ndopane mubvunzo wangu dzavasiri kutipa. Because every year munhu akamira paroad anonzi trakona license rako. Rokuridza kwaunoita music. Saka mari yacho iri kubhadhwa nevadii iri kutorwa dani.
Yeah, interesting.
Because ZIMURA inoti inokolekta mari. Handiti? Tora mari mumabhawa kwese kwekwe. And then of what varuda 800 kuma upcoming artists kuti azoprint wanditi ko dzimwe mari dziripo idzo dziri kushandei ndipane bvunza kuti dziri kumbonyatsoshandei. Saka problem inoitika ndeyekuti bhodhi rikanya kutungamirwa nemadhara chako zvinoita problem.
Yes. Saka pari kuda vechipana.
Bho zvapano kuti nyika chaiyo ikatungamirwa navanhu vakura stereki zvinoita problem futi. You see, hadzisi politics but asi ndo chokwadi. Zviri kumachechi ikatungamirwa nemadhara nemaelda anonetsa hasi kuziva kuti chii chiri kuitika. Zvapana kuti plot ndinotungamirwa navanhu vari kuZIMURA. Mumwe munhu haana kana Google account, Instagram, hasi kuziva kuti what's going on. ZIMURA hachazvitomboziva zviri kuitika kune dzimwe nyika. Vanotirida chicha vanongoziva kungotora mari. Havana kana vision.
Quite interesting. So rega ndimboedha mumwe and then ndogona kuzora next time. Ramba uri ipapo.
Thank you, Plot.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're
welcome. Okay, great. So I'm going to add Shem from Shem and Nathan. Vamakombe, I see you. Thank you so much. I'm going to also try and add you, but make sure that you're watching from a mobile device. You're watching from a phone so that I'm able to add you. Otherwise, I'm not able to bring you on screen if you are watching like now. Shem, I'm not able to add you because I think you're not using a phone. Make sure that you're using a mobile device. But let me get Mr. Makombe from ZIMURA. Mr. Makombe, if you're watching from a mobile device, from a laptop, could you watch from a mobile device? And then I can add you. It would be interesting to actually get a comment, an official comment from the Deputy Director of ZIMURA, Mr. Henry Makombe, so that we get an informed and a balanced opinion from both sides. He says that as it is, speaking from an uninformed position. So if you're watching from a laptop, could you watch from a phone? Because the laptop, I'm not able to add you. It needs to watch from a Facebook app, and then I can add you. But in the meantime, whilst we are waiting for the Deputy Director of ZIMURA to join in, I'm going to try and add Theodore. Also, he's watching from a laptop. I'm not able to add him. Shem is also watching from a laptop, so I'm not able to. So you need to watch from the Facebook page, Earground. If you're watching from the watch party, I'm not able to add you. You need to go to the Facebook page, Earground, and then we can have you on screen and continue the conversation. Quite an interesting conversation. We're talking about royalties, talking about ZIMURA. Artists are in an uproar. They are angry at ZIMURA over the recent increase of registration fees. by 433%, which artists are calling unjustified. But ZIMURA is defending that, saying, no, look, the cost of living in Zimbabwe has increased. The same economy that is affecting artists is also the same cost that are affecting the body. So, okay, let me try now. If you using a phone, I hope you're watching from a Facebook app, a mobile app, and then I'm able to add you. But if you're using the normal browser, I'm not able to invite you. Unfortunately, Facebook has some of those restrictions. But I'm going to, whilst I wait for you, I'm going to also wait for the Deputy Director of ZIMURA so that we get his side of the story in terms of what's really happening with the ZIMURA. Is it that artists are uninformed, are ill-informed about the operations of ZIMURA? Are these costs, the increase is justified? Why is ZIMURA unable to collect the money from the broadcasters? Why is it that they're unable to get the money that ZBC owes, the money that maybe ZFM owes, and the money that the other stations that are somehow not compliant owes the artists? And why are other artists owed as back as 2014, 2015? So in the meantime, I will pick some of the statements from the annual general report so that we get a bit of information, and also statistics with regard to the revenue collected by ZIMURA. So in 2017, ZIMURA collected 1.1 million, and then in 2018, ZIMURA collected 1.2 million. But I have an interesting conversation from, it was a question that was asked Herbert, who was or is, I don't know if he's still, but he was part of ZIMURA, an official from ZIMURA, and who was asked by Phil Chad with regard to the money that was collected by ZIMURA from the international community, the money that came in as US dollars, but apparently they used 40% from what he says there. Let me pick up the audio and then we'll continue the conversation.
Talking about the stations, talking about broadcasting, ZIMURA, on the other hand, is supposed to monitor all the broadcasting stations and how they're going to be paying the artists and all that. How is that working out? Because our artists also really rely on the funds that come from ZIMURA, from their airplay. How's that going along?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zabet Ngube. Talking about radios, we do have ZBC is our main broadcaster. It has four different radio stations to its name, and that's where it's the one that's it's the one that's giving out the most money. Like if I talk about 2015 distribution.
They are paying, right? They are?
Okay. Yes, they are paying. And then we have new radio stations. Some of them are not paying yet, but we're getting into deals with them to pay.
But indeed, because all our artists depend on this, I see you have something burning in your soul right now.
So this is the way he speaks. Listen to Fisher.
I'm disappointed that the rep that was supposed to come from ZIMURA didn't come, because we do have a lot of questions. The first one being is a RIPA report that released last year. In 2013, ZIMURA collected $1.2 million in neighboring rights royalties. They retained 44% of those royalties for administration costs. What administration costs does ZIMURA have that justify a $500,000 bill?
There you go, Herbert. A burning one there for you.
I may not be able to answer that in full.
Just try.
Okay. Well, we're going through, you know, the Zimbabwean situation we're going through. Like there was no money. Okay, listen.
We tend to all then hide behind the Zimbabwe situation. All that. Just
let me say this. ZBC was not paying. So the most of the money that we were getting was money to go out and do licensing and things like that.
Interestingly, because he talks about licenses, but Future was asking there about the neighboring royalties. This is money that was collected from outside. So I'm going to Yeah, so Mr. Makombe, thank you so much. You can contribute there, and then I can read your comments and then contribute them to the conversation whilst I wait for my next guest. But thank you so much for joining. It's really important that we have you here. But we'll continue to, I'll play 1 minute again in addition to the question that Herbert Ncube from ZIMURA was asked by Future at the Zimbabwe Hip Hop Summit in October 2017. This is what he says. With regard to $500,000 that was used as administration cost from the 1.2 that was allegedly collected by ZIMURA from the neighboring rights, royalties.
Yeah. Once again, I'll dispute that because that report listed international collections. So every cent collected was in foreign currency. Why was that foreign currency not given to the local artists who produced the content and given to the bosses who are doing nothing?
As I said, ZBC did not pay out the full amount.
So 1.2 never came from ZBC. We're talking about the international payments. So that's Spotify.
Give him the microphone.
We haven't received anything from iTunes or Spotify or anything. Okay, I'm going to step in for a second here, right?
Okay, cool. Interesting conversation there. So if you're on a mobile device, and then I can add you, but let me try to add you. But no, man, I'm not able to add you because you're using a device that is not compatible. You need to use an application from Facebook app on a mobile device. If you're using a computer, a laptop, I'm not able to add you. But anyway, continuing the conversation, we're talking about ZIMURA, we're talking about the monies that is being charged by ZIMURA, a 433% increase on the registration fee. So your artist who just blew up from Kitsia Tota, your artist who's coming from Bare, your Windsors, your Van Choga, he has to fork out $800 to register with ZIMURA. And ZIMURA says this money goes towards their registration ID card, their registration certificate, license certificate, and also some administrative costs that ZIMURA incurs. And it's not money that ZIMURA uses. But artists as adamant, they're saying, look, the money has been increased unilaterally without any engagement, without any conversation, a dialogue with the artist. Let me see here. Maybe start watching again, stop watching and start watching again, and then I can add you, Norman. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, and then there's a response. Baba Mekanik Manyuruke says, no, a lot of artists are ill-informed, are not informed about this process. They need to raise their concerns independently and come through to ZIMURA so that it can be explained to what happens. And then somebody actually talks about artists not participating in these platforms. His name is Charisma. He's a producer based in UK, hip hop producer. He talks about the process, and let me see if I can get that.
That like everybody here as a hip hop artist, stakeholder, whatever, right? I don't know if you guys know this, but you can actually go onto the ZIMURA website, and every time they do an AGM and they do an audit and all that, this information is available to you. So if you go onto the website and you actually see they've got a budget of how much money they've spent, how much money they've taken in, right? And Philchard is right, because I was looking at it as well, and I was at the office like kicking up a huge fuss about what was going on, because I looked at it. I mean, they did pay me. So you guys go and get registered, right? But I went there. This office it's a small operation, and what they're doing right now is that they're taking so much money in and spending so much money as far as administration, but then their systems are really old. Now, the only way that we can change things like this, I'm personally going to be running for the board of ZIMURA in 3 years. I hope that there's people in here who are going to give me competition. Representation is the biggest thing. If we go there, the whole amount of us are in here, we could vote one of ours into that system, right? Who can go in there and change that? Now, I'm a member of PRS, I'm a member of PPL, so I am familiar with the systems. I actually sat down with the lady who was supposed to be here, and I showed her, I logged into my PRS so she could see how easy it is. You guys have to give 4 passport photos, 4 copies of CDs, all kinds of nonsense, right? When
it's literally a digital process where you can go online, type in the name of your song, type in how long it is, and all this, that, and the other, and within 10 minutes you're registered. The only way that we can change this system to work for us is for us to start getting involved and to start attending these AGMs. I mean, this year someone almost made it from our young crop, but they were beaten in the vote by some guy who does Sungura because he had the numbers. I believe that we have more numbers. I believe that by getting involved, we're going to be able to start changing this from inside, because ZIMURA is not a government, it's not a government organization. They lobby the government. It's a private organization that any one of you guys in here can get involved with. So please, let's get involved every year. Let's show up to these AGMs. Let's question them. Let's question why they're spending $250,000 on administration, but then we're not getting our remittance. So, I mean, let's question them about why they're allowing ZFM and stations like that to not pay for playing your music, but they take money for advertising, right? The only way we can do that is by actually being present when the conversation is being had.
Points there. So we
Quite interesting points there from Charisma. So to Shem, are you able to use, I don't know, can you confirm maybe by a message that you're using a mobile device and you are watching from a Facebook app so that I'm able to add you? If not, and then I'm not able to add you. Sonny Sambasi, thank you so much for joining in. There's quite an interesting conversation, quite interesting debate there. I'll be reading some of the comments. So if you're not able to join through the live video, simply drop in your comment. But if you're watching from the watch party, kindly go on to the Facebook page, Earground, and then we're able to add you. Lazitia, I hope you heard the comment there from the Deputy Director of ZIMURA, Mr. Henry Makombi, has responded. He said, the information that you provided us, you're speaking from a point, an uninformed position, but I'm trying to add him onto the conversation so that we can hear more from him. But I think he has heard some of the things that have been said from the audio notes that I've played, from the video that I just whose audio I've just played now, and also what you've said and what other people have said just in the social circles. It would be interesting to actually get that kind of responses. Why does ZIMURA use so much amount of money from the revenue that it collects towards administrative purposes? What exactly administration are they doing if they're not able to pay royalties to artists in time, if they're not able to push and lobby for radio stations, to lobby for different platforms that actually owe artists money to pay this money? So what administrative costs are they getting paid for if they're using analog systems? If another radio station is still using a manual tallying system and not using a digital system, and other artists are claiming that as far as 2014, 2015, they've not received a single cent. The last one they got was 2013, 2014. And some are alleging that in terms of who gets their royalties first, it's not clear who gets them first, because at times you see there are other people that seem to be more favored when it comes to the money that comes with, from royalties. But also, Featured, he asked, the money that ZIMURA collects from neighboring rights royalties, money that comes from outside, that comes from South Africa when South Africa plays Zimbabwean music. In 2016, he makes a reference to a report. He says it was $1.2 million, but out of that $1.2 million, 500,000 was used towards administration, according to the report. I'm yet to see that report, but that report has been made reference to several times in future. I think he has it. And now looking at the current report, there's going to be an AGM, an annual general meeting that's going to happen very soon, and artists need to participate. This is what Charisma was saying, that the only way we can change the systems is when we participate, because some of the people that are representing are not capable to really represent. But anyway, let's talk about these people that are representing. Who are these people? Somebody was asking, I already mentioned these names before, as to who sits on the board, who's on the board, the ZIMURA board, right? So there's Mr. Albert Nyati, there's Pastor C. Charamba, there's Mr. Jangaja, Honorable D. J. Puti, Mr. Mechanic Manyurike, F. Batani, Mr. Enube, and Mr. P. Chipfumbu, as well as Ms. P. Ngube Chimini, who is the executive director. And the chairman happens to be Albert Nyati. I will actually try to reach out to Mr. Nyati so that I can speak to him and we can get some of these things responded to. It will be important to actually get both sides of the story. And also the deputy chairperson is Mr. Charamba and the legal advisor is Mr. Jangaja. And yeah, first the father is there and somebody says he's not happy with first the father being there, but he was elected through an election. That's what Laziti was saying. Let me see, let me see now. Yeah, so I'm not able to add Shemi, if I don't know if you could watch and start watching, stop watching again, and then let me see now. I'm going to try and bring another guest. Sonny, should I add you? Just indicate if I should add you, if this is a request to add. But Theodore, I'm not able to add you. But if I'm looking at Samro in South Africa, they've managed to create like digital platforms that enable artists to get this money. And we have seen also the executive director, the role of the executive director changing hands from year to year. But I think in ZIMURA, we've seen pretty much the same face over and over again. For me, that is also possibly another reason that we need to look at in terms of the composition and how people are elected and how people get to be part of this. Why am I having this conversation? I'm also an interested party. I work with a lot of artists. I work with artists. I'm a promoter. I'm an artist manager, but I'm also a journalist, and this is why we're having this conversation. But the most important thing is that there's been concerns, genuine concerns that are coming from artists that feel like ZIMURA is not doing good enough for the industry and it needs to be reformed. So we have the deputy director of ZIMURA who's online with us, but apparently I'm not able to add you. But Mr. Let me do this. Maybe I could send you my number, and then you are able to drop me a WhatsApp voice note, and then I can play it. Kindly indicate if I can send you my WhatsApp number, and then I can drop you. And even to Shen, if you can drop a WhatsApp with your voice note, and then I can able to also put it in. Just drop in your contribution through a voice note and then we can continue. But in the meantime, I think I'll take a small, not really a break, but I'll just play something. Statistics that we're playing with, and let me see. This is one of the moments. And for the record, I've access, I've rights to play this song. So whilst I'm waiting for comments from some of the artists, some of the people that are taking part in our conversation, I will just sample one song. But this conversation has to continue. There has to be engagement. There has to be dialogue. There's going to be an annual general meeting that's taking place later this year. Let me see what is the date for the annual general meeting. Let me see. And I was actually saying the other day that I think it's more strategic now for us for the creative industry to actually engage the government for certain reforms in areas that they feel unhappy with, or they feel that they need to be some improvement on this and that. Why? Because we've got Honorable DJ Put, who's now a deputy minister, he's a member of parliament, and if you look up his profile on the Zimbabwe Parliament website, he actually says one of his goals in Parliament is actually represent artists. So it's quite strategic, having an honorable minister and having a deputy minister of ICT sitting on the ZIMURA board, but also having Mr. Elias Msakwa there in Parliament, having Honorable Energy Mtodi there as a Deputy Minister of Information, and also being a musician, and also having Honorable Fortune Chas, the Minister of Transport, having a strong passion and interest in Zim dancehall, and having produced a song collaboration with some Zim dancehall artists. Already there is a buy-in, there is goodwill, there is support, which I think if we ride on these support structures, we're able to engage positively and see the growth and development of the music industry. Some have said there's no music industry in Zimbabwe. Let me see now. Okay, cool. So, Mr. Makombe, I'm sending you a WhatsApp. Let me see. Okay, let me do this. I'm gonna give you my. If you can write this number down and then you send me a WhatsApp message right now. Let me see. +49. So I'm gonna send you my WhatsApp number, and then you are able to add me there. 1 second. Whilst I do this, let me just play something so that we give the right to respond. So my number is +49. Mr. Makombe, if you can put this number down and then drop me a WhatsApp. +49 176 646 50774. +49 176 646 50774. +49 176 646 50774. Kindly drop me a WhatsApp with a voice note, and then I can play it instantly on the program, and then we'll be able to get your contribution. Thank you so much. Let me know if you have heard the number. If you have not heard it, let me know. So Shem, I'm gonna try and yeah, I'm not able to add you. So thank you so much to everybody who's joining in. My name is Plot Marco, and I'm a host, Earground, New Voices Amplified, where we're talking about the issue to do with revenue collection, ZIMURA. We're talking about the issues to do with the transparencies and the increases in terms of registration fees for ZIMURA. And we're discussing, issues to do with the collective management organization, that is ZIMURA, for Zimbabwe, which does music licenses and collects royalties on behalf of musicians from different users, from clubs, from banks, from entertainers, from DJs, buses, and also radio stations. And at every go that an artist's music is played, there is a royalty that is paid to it. There must be a payment that comes with it. And some of the stations have defaulted for a very long time. Some of them are up to date, but the most recent uproar comes from a 433 increase by ZIMURA on the registration fees. So an artist that needs to get registered with ZIMURA has to pay $800. And why is this important? Why is this important for an artist? They would actually be asking, why should I register with ZIMURA? If I don't want, I don't want the royalties, I don't want anything, I don't want to register. Here's the challenge. A lot of the radio stations actually make it a requirement, a pre-requirement that for you to bring in your music, for your music to be put in the system, you need to register with ZIMURA. And when you do that, you're able to get your music played. But when you go to ZIMURA, there are some of the requirements that I find quite interesting there, right? ZIMURA has some interesting requirements. It says this is what is required for you to register with ZIMURA. You're required to, wow, what has happened to my network here? Let me see here. I'm going to pick up on the requirements for ZIMURA. But there is a reference from ZIMURA that either you need to have a song, two songs that are on rotation, or you need to have, let me see what's happening here. You need to have 8 songs for you to register. So it's one of the pre-requirements. And some artists are saying, I just recorded a single, it's not even on radio, I need to register ZIMURA, what do I do? The requirements should be more digital for us to just send and register our music from home. But I'm waiting for a response from Mr. Henry Makombe, who is the Deputy Director of ZIMURA. He's sending in his response. I'm going to play it out to you guys in the next minute or two. But in the meantime, I'm also trying to add Shem from Shem and Nathan. Most of you remember him from the Urban Grooves days. You know, he's still doing music, he's still doing a lot of music, and I'm going to... I'm trying to log into the ZIMURA site. So in an article that was done by musicinafrica.net, there's some interesting points that are raised there, and I'm going to read them out to you. These are reactions from different people. I had also my response there. I'll read it out, and then Miss Polisile Ngube Chimini, she also responded, and the Zimbabwe Musicians Union boss, Edith Otonga, who is also an artist, he responded. Nobo, a hip hop artist, is also also responded there. So, from the executive director of ZIMURA, she says cartridges, bond paper, and so on are now very expensive. One cartridge is now going for 3,100 currently, yet it was around 600 in February. So these are some of the reasons that have necessitated a 433 increase. And then Edith Otonga says joining ZIMURA is like joining a member, so becoming a member so that their staff can get money to send their children to school while nothing goes to the musicians. And then Plot Margo says, I think it's reflective of an incompetent, inept, and bloated institution craving for urgent reforms. The increase is the third. They insist that no, it's not the third, it's the second or the first in a year, amounting to 1,000. Last year, November, December, that money was around $50, and now it's 800. That amounts, that was $80, now 800 amounts to 1,000 increase. And then Nobo Styles, Nobo Chadneza says, if you fail to collect money, then use 40% for administration costs, and then have a 400 rise in registration. You are not only taking artists for fools, but testing their patience, which has finally run out. This is what Nobo said. Thank you so much to Martin Chauke. Let me know, anybody who wants to join in the conversation, but make sure you're watching from a mobile device so that I'm able to add you. This is a very important conversation. I know because of data and other things, artists might not be able to catch it now, but they'll definitely be able to catch it later on. I'm going to make an effort to have a one-on-one conversation with Mr. Anil Makombe or with Ms. Polisile Ngube, the directors from ZIMURA. So let's talk about monies. Let's talk about the money that ZIMURA has been collecting. According to the financial statement, as at 31st of December 2018, in 2018, ZIMURA had collected. Let me look at the consolidated one. In terms of royalties, they had collected an amount amounting to 1,178,000, and then the previous year they collected 1,058,000, and they have published their statements. They always publish their statements. They publish their financial statement. They also publish the annual general meeting reports, and ahead of an impending one. So there's one that's actually coming soon. I'm going to pick up the date and then I give it to you. But interestingly, this is only for members, so you're not able to participate at the AGM if you're not a member. So if you're an artist and you want to participate in actively, you need to be a member. So let me see if I'm able to get that. So I'm waiting for a message, an audio message from the Deputy Director of ZIMURA, and then we can continue the conversation for the next 10 minutes, and then we call it a day for today. But the plot thickens. We continue talking about important issues that affect artists, not only ranting. So I'll read some of the comments that are coming from the social platforms. Wherever John Vura says, musicians should just organize themselves and collect their own royalties. And the Benny Beats, he says there's nothing to say. These guys just need to shut down, just like every state-run organization or whatever he says there. And then Charles Chipanga says, I think maybe we're barking at the wrong dog. It's not an issue to do with ZIMURA. I personally visited ZIMURA when I was in Zim and invested 2 hours with their bosses trying to understand how they function. I asked every question in the world and asked for proof. When they gave me answers, all I can say is that they do their best given the circumstances. So this is what Charles Chipanga, a musician from Zimbabwe, he had to say about ZIMURA. And then Tatenda Tagara says, I'm still waiting for a signal. Mr. Makombe wants there, and then let me know, and then I can drop your response. Tatenda Tagara says, issue is ZIMURA yakoko. Shidema artists abata na atsvaga legal advice, but still vakadaro vanobva vaperawo kusaita noise kwavo zvinoreva kuti they are content neairplay. Vari kuwana zvemaroyalties haisi nyaya stereki kwavari because vazodzidzika nenyaya yacho. Ukazodzika nenyaya yacho unoona kuti vakomana havasi kana kucopyrighta masongs acho nemalyrics awo. So he says actually it's the problem to do with artists. Artists are not doing their part. And the other comment. And this is what the other artists are saying. Let me see. I have quite some interest, but I have to also pick some of the comments. And, yeah. So James Charicha says, you know, I tell them that there's online music distribution, where you can sell whatever, where artists can actually sell music and get their royalties instantly. Like after the month, you're able to get your money. And let me see what else was said here. Yeah. So a lot of input, a lot of feedback that is coming through, but I'm going to formally write to ZIMURA. I could have asked them, but last time they didn't show up. The guest that I needed didn't show up at the ZIMURA Summit and did not communicate. We had a less official who was not able to answer some of the questions that we had. But I think the response from Mr. Makombe indicates a seriousness from their end to actually respond to some of these things. Also make an effort to speak Mr. Albert Nyati, Elder Nyati, so that we're able to get his side of the story. And also, hopefully, to get First Farai and get his side of the story. Let me see. I think I have the audio input here. And okay, cool. Thank you. So I'm going to play a response from Shem. Shem, who's okay. This is what it says.
Okay. I think zvirikuitika ndezvekuti ZIMURA hayo iri kutora people for a ride. Unobhadharirei kujoina a-union iri kucollecta ma-royalties. Handiti iyo inofana kucollecta yotora a certain percentage from ma-royalties ainenge yacollecta. Even like zvokunzonotumidzira ma-CDs or your music is on rotation or what. Kana makaenda pama-sites ema-American royalty collection societies, kana kuno I'm registered hangu neSAMRO. Unongoenda online, woloda music yako, wonyora ma-details, ma-songwriters and everything. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, wato register song yako yato through. Whether iri kuridzwa kana kuti haisi kuridzwa, yato registered neSAMRO. Uyezve imwe nyaya yanda nchida kubvunza kuti like ini ndine music yangu imwe inomboridzwa old music and stuff inoshandiswa kuZimbabwe ukoko. Saka ndakaenda kuSAMRO ndichivabvunza kuti sei ndisiri kuwana ma-royalties angu from Zimba, ndiri kuwana music yangu mari iri kubva kune mamwe ma-societies, but kuZimbabwe I'm not getting anything. Vakanditiwo ZIMURA haisi kutumidzira mari kuno kuSouth Africa because vari kuti vane problem ye-foreign currency. Saka mari dzakaita seidzodzo dzinofanira kuuya kuno kuSouth Africa for ma-artists ari register ari kuno kuSouth Africa nemamwe ma-South Africans. Because ZIMURA yakati kuti ivo va-withhold, SAMRO yakati kuti i-withhold futi mari yekuZimbabwe iri kufanira kuenda kuZimbabwe. Panonetsa because hazvibalance, because kuZimbabwe kunoridzwa more music yekuSouth Africa than Zimbabwean music being played in South Africa. So kana dei takati akuwithholda, ZIMURA inongosara ingori nechikwereti chainofanira kutipa, chaisiri kuita sei, chaisiri kubhadhara because iri kuti yo forex iri kunetsa. Saka ndoda kubvunzawo kuti ko mari idzodzo dzavasiri kuunza kuna South Africa idzodzo dzemusic yema-South Africans kana kuti vanhu vari registered nema-collection agents e-societies ekuSouth Africa dziri kumboenda kupi? Uyezve kana kuri kunzi ipapo ndo pari kunzi pari kukundikanwa kapari kuzonzi vari kutaura zvemapepa zvebond what hazvinei naartist. Vari kufanira kutoita a paperless process yekuti havatombotaura about macartridge, havataura about those things.
So that's Shem, if you remember Shem, from Shem and Nathan, and he says there he's not able to get his money. For some of you, maybe you might not remember him. This was Shem and Nathan. Then back then, Urban Group's days. Yes. So just for you to get an idea as to who the artist who just spoke to us is. So he says, look. In South Africa, I get my money from whatever that gets played by stations in South Africa through SAMRO, but he's not able to get any remittances for music that is played from Zimbabwe because Zimbabwe says they don't have the forex, and at the same time, Zimbabwe is not also remitting to South Africa for music that they are playing, which they play quite a lot of it. Thank you so much, Shem, for that input. I'm going to play. Thank you so much. Let me see. I think this must be Mr. Makombe.
Good afternoon, Plot. Thank you very much for this platform. Like I said, my name is Henry Makombe. I'm the Deputy Director for the Zimbabwe Music Rights Association. And I'd like to clear some air concerning certain issues that has been raised by the musicians or artists and also music composers out there concerning our raise of our registration fee for the members. Let me start by saying that Zimbabwe Music Rights Association is a professional organization, and which is constituted by the board that is selected by the General Assembly. In this case, I'm talking about the general membership of ZIMURA at an AGM each time when the time lapses for the current sitting board members. So most people out there, they've got a different perspective concerning how the board is selected. The General Assembly has the responsibility of selecting board members into office, and this is done after 3 years of each term. So the current sitting board was selected by the General Assembly, and the sitting board has the responsibility of overseeing the policies and the general performance of the organization, and the secretariat, which is headed by Mrs. Polisile Chimeni. The general public, or just the members out there, they think that it's the secretariat that appoints board members into office, which in fact is very wrong, because these members or these artists, they don't participate in AGMs, and those who don't come for these meetings, for the ZIMURA meetings, then are not selected, because it's those that participate in the AGMs, those that participate in the organizational activities that we do as an organization, that are then selected into the board.
Thank you so much. That's Mr. Makombe there, Henry Makombe, who is the Deputy Director of ZIMURA. He says there's a misconception and misrepresentation when it comes to the functions and the functionality of ZIMURA, and also in terms of the selection and the election of the board and the secretariat role. He also says that participation is the key goal, is the key factor for artists, for them to participate at different levels within the activities of ZIMURA, so that they are more acquainted with what goes on and what happens with ZIMURA. I have a comment from a music expert, Zimbabwean, but based in South Africa. And from Shen, he had said, look, why don't we have a paperless system if just printing material is costing about $400, $500, and that cost is going to an artist who possibly doesn't have money to pay that much. Why not cushion by having digital systems through applications, through Google systems that just lets them do and run a paperless system? Let's hear what Norman said.
Hi, Plot. Well, let me quickly give you this contribution, which I have, just my 2 cents on the matter. I think the artists must begin to look at a multi-genre approach to this issue. They need to be organized around genres. That could be the first and starting point. The people truly who are playing, like what Laziti said, are people who are very young, people who are pushing all these things, and the old ones who are representing them, the old ones who are supposed to be pushing for their rights. are no longer very active. So I think a multi-genre approach would provide a lot of artists with a voice to truly and genuinely speak out on the issues that are affecting them. The other thing that I think is that beyond ZIMURA, there should be a total disbandment of ZIMURA. It has failed on its original objective. So I think there might be need for a new organization or association altogether to genuinely and truly represent the rights and concerns of the artists. But the other issue is that there is no industry. The music industry in Zimbabwe is just not there. It's not there. It's something that has to be built, and it takes in a lot of conversations like this. Then the other question that I want to pose before I go, because I think it's getting longer, is that are they releasing audited financial results, so that we see where this money is going? You can't have an expense, administrative expense bill of $500,000 on people who have just a very small office. What are they using this money for? It has to be, because it's an organization that is representing a very key sector of our arts, which is music. So they must be able to account not only to their members, I think to other stakeholders as well, to inform as what is actually happening as far as these administration costs are concerned. Thank you.
Thank you so much there. That is Norman Theodore. Is based in South Africa. He's a music expert who's working within the industry, Mzansi. And he says there has to be maybe audited results, that these financial statements audited, so that at least it gives a sense of accountability for artists. But he also says the percentage that are being thrown around that are alleged to be used by ZIMURA for administrative purposes, they are not justified, one, for a small institution, two, for the non-performance in courts. That's what he says. And he says, I think artists need to organize themselves, maybe genre-based, so that the Sungurans are organized, the hip-hop ones are organized, and then ultimately the critical mass, when they come together and they start to represent themselves. And he also proffers that maybe if artists are not happy with what ZIMURA is doing, they're at liberty to actually create their own independent institution and be able to manage their royalties. But he also emphasizes the need for artists to find out and get more information about these operations. And
Hello, Plot. Responding to...
So I'm going to get a response from Mr. Makombe. Thank you so much, guys that are watching. Thanks to everybody who's watching. I'm closing up in the next 2 minutes. But before that, I'm going to give a response from ZIMURA, another response from Mr. Makombe. This is what he has to say.
Responding to some of the comments that were raised by Laziti, he requested a list of those people who were assisted, who got assistance from ZIMURA concerning the burial and the funeral policy that we facilitate to our members. We've got Matsito Tedias, Brian Rosike, Andy Brown, Mashakada Sifas, Chisho Adam, Mfurutsa Tendai, Chimombe Freddy, Marairi Chiwoniso, Dayton Somanje, Oliver Mtukudzi, Mutoko John, Makoni Dick, Comrade Chinks, just to name a few. And that's the list of those people who got assistance or who were buried by our platform that we assist our members when they die.
Quite interesting, Mr. Makombe. Whilst you're still there, I would want your response, if you can respond to this one. You have mentioned some names of artists that I know struggled to actually get money for their burial. And you've also mentioned some members that got money, like through state support. For example, Dr. Oliver Mtukudzi, who got state support there. And you have mentioned also tell us what percentage, what fraction of assistance did ZIMURA or does ZIMURA give to these artists? Is it complete assistance with a percentage, with a fraction, or what determines, what's the ratio like that determines what percentage or what amount an artist gets when they die? Quite interesting there. I'm going to revisit the message again, and then whilst I wait for your input. But thank you so much, for the input. Thank you so much to everybody who's been watching. Vusam Kaya, thank you so much for watching. It's great to hear from you. And the conversation has been royalties, revenue collection, artists in Zimbabwe that are expressing displeasure and are disgruntled. Some, not all, some are actually happy, some are saying no. Those that are complaining need to actually find out more about ZIMURA. They need to know more about the operations, how ZIMURA operates, and be able to respond from an informed point of view. And I'm going to reach out to some of the players. I'm going to speak to some of the people that are sitting on the board. I'll try and reach out to First Farai. I'll try and reach out to the Honorable Minister, DJ Puti, so that we get also a comment from his side. We get a comment from Mr. Albert Nyati, Baba Charamba, as well as Vamakanike Manyeruki. Baba Manyekanike Manyeruki has already responded, and we've dropped his response. For those that missed it out, I played it at the beginning, and for the benefit of those that missed it out, I'm just gonna play it and then try to see if let me see.
Vadikani vangu vaimbi ndinofunga kuti zvakanaka kuti hawana zvinhu zvisingakufambiri zvakanaka uine complain yako, rega kupa influence kune vamwe vanoziva zvinoreva ZIMURA. Iwe une complain yako yokuti zvinhu zvako hazvisi kufamba zvakanaka nokuda kweZIMURA, I don't know. Enda kumahofisi avo, vakasununguka chaizvo kukubatsira. Unovhurirwa mapepa ose aungade kuziva. Zvose zvaunoda kuziva unozvitsanangurirwa. Takambozvitaura pamusangano wedu watinoita ku College of Music. Chitaura pamusoro pokuti usanetseke nekupa vanhu influence isina kunaka, nekutaura mazwi anenge anotuka vamwe vanhu. Tiri vaimbi tinonyaradza mweya yevazhinji. Tinofanira kungoita zvinhu zvedu negwara rakanaka chaizvo rinoita kuti tirarame zvakanaka. Unotsanangurirwa nevanhu vari muhofisi. Ndosaka ofisi yedu iripo yeZIMURA. Ndapota vana vaMwari, edzai kuti kana waona zvinokunetsa usataure uri kunze uchiudza vanhu venyika yose kuti ndo zvaunofunga. At the end of the day unozoonekwa kusafunga kwako kusina kuita zvakanaka. Enda unocomplaina uri paofisi, muofisi, ona vanokodzera kuti vataure newe. Mazvita zvenyu muswere zvakanaka.
Thank you so much. That is the voice of Baba Mechanic Manyeruke. There you are speaking also with regard to the issue. He's a board member. He sits on the board of ZIMURA, and we got quite a mixed responses there. I'll also try and get a comment from the Zimbabwe Union of Musicians, Zimbabwe Musicians Union, boss Edith Otonga, and possibly in the next days try to give you a second part of the conversation. But so far, this is it, and I really appreciate each one of you. And until next time, new voices, amplified, and Earground is the place to be. We continue to bring you very important conversations, but now I'm rushing. I have to watch the let me see, Sonny, if I can add you. Sonny, I'm not able to add you. I don't know what you're watching from. If you're watching from a mobile device, then that's a plus. But if you're watching from a laptop, a tab, I'm not able to add you. You have to watch from a Facebook app, and then I can add you. 1 second. Let me see. 1 second. Let me see. Okay, so I'm getting a response there from Mr. Makombe, and then we close the conversation. But quite interesting feedback there. For those that missed out the first part, we talked about a whole lot of things. We talked about the misconceptions. We talked about the realities. I think a lot of the things are shrouded in misconceptions because the information is not easily available. So hearsay seems to overwhelm the reality. But the reaction that is there right now with regard to ZIMURA is more to do with reality, which happens to be the 433% increase on the registration fees for new ZIMURA members.
Thank you very much for that question, Plot. We've got a funeral policy cover that we have with Moonlight Funeral, and this policy covers the following. We provide a doom casket, the hearse that carries the body. We also provide the bus for the mourners within 40 kilometer radius. We also provide the lowering device, the undertaker, and the mortuary services. And above that, we also provide $500 for groceries. And this is in the event that we bury our member. But there are cases where the member has or had another funeral policy, and the family members wants to bury that person under that policy that he has, not the one for ZIMURA, and then we'll provide $700 after the burial of our member.
Thank you so much, Mr. Makombe. Mr. Henry Makombe is the Deputy Director of Zimbabwe Music Rights. And I'm going to end at Sony Simbarasi, and then we end the conversation. But I really appreciate Mr. Makombe. What I will do is I will structure my questions and send them to you formally ahead of our conversation, a possible conversation, so that I think at least there is more light because yes. Comrade,
yeah.
David.
Zvakamira sei?
Zviripo zviri sese.
Zvakaneta. Right. Yeah, ndazwa kuchichema type. I think problem ikuitika pane ma-issues wobva ndanzwa kuti ma-artists pachezvawo anenge ari kufamba nenzira dzakasiyana asi vese vane chinangwani. So they all want money, but they seem to be going through different channels and they're using different methods. Because there's one guy who said he was beat by a Sungura guy because he had numbers. To me, that shows that there is a battle amongst those artists, between the artists themselves. They are fighting. So that's why he said Sungura. But I think I was expecting he was going to be happy that, or at least there is an alpha musician sitting within the board. And then, so that's one issue. And the other thing is, I think ZIMURA, they are now acting as if they are becoming a funeral policy now, instead of representing artists, because it seems as if they are getting commission from, Doves Morgan, Nyara, or whosoever they work with, because instead of ZIMURA giving artists their monies when they are still alive, if they've given Tejas Matito money, if he was getting his royalties, maybe he could have seek medical help because he was able to afford those things. But I think Tejas had to get assistance from other artists and people and the well-wishers, of which shows that he wasn't getting his money. So they are waiting for people to be in dangerous situations, difficult positions, and that's when they come and say, oh, we buried. So why can't you give the people their money when they're still alive? They spend their money, they do whatever they do with their money. And so it's very sad that they brag about burying Tuku. I mean, Tuku, for example, in my opinion, had his own assets. They could have buried himself. So they can't really say, oh, we buried Tuku, even if Tejas Matito, they can say he didn't have much money, but I think artists themselves, they could have buried him. The artists, the musicians themselves, you see, the same way my Windy, they can bury another Windy, artists can do that. You see, my Change Money can bury a Change Money person, they can do that. So they cannot talk about burying people. They do not have to wait for people to die, you see, so that they can say, oh, yeah, we give this person a certain amount of money. But I think artists themselves, they should join hands, join forces, and talk about these things and say, hey, come kuma offices and talk. I mean, let the congestion because there are so many artists. How many artists are recording at Yala Nation? New artists now. You see, how many artists are coming up at Q Sport Records? Monolio, how many artists is really recording? So there's going to be congestion because each and everyone is going to be going there and say, you know what, I got issues here, I got issues here, I got issues here. Are they going to be able to handle those issues? So yeah, at times it's good to use different platforms, then people discuss those issues. And maybe artists should demonstrate, like, because they have done shows in solidarity with different events where they've done free shows. So I think they should also demonstrate and have a free show, join hands and say, no, we are singing this because what they're doing, it's more like they're doing for free because they're not getting money from ZIMURA, from their work. So they can just go Harare Garden, Gwanzo Stadium and say, okay, we are fighting against this, we are demonstrating against ZIMURA. They join hands, they do a solidarity show for free. Let people come in and enjoy music, and they are sending their message loud and clear that we as artists, we are not happy with this. They should do this better, but if possible, artists could work with independent audit boards where they can just, check. At least they can use one like Star FM, for example, and say, okay, we want to work with Star FM now. We just want to do an audit for a month of about approximately 10 artists, and want to see how much an artist is supposed to be getting. And then they can see whether ZIMURA is getting money. There was a guy who was being asked about some 500 million or something dollars. I mean, he was sketchy.
500,000.
Yeah, he was sketchy, he was skeptic, he couldn't even get to the point. You see, he just couldn't answer. It clearly shows that there was money which they spent the money on these guys. And it's very sad because, I mean, because I work with some artists, and it's sad because now they can't even, if they're doing shows now, they're doing shows with three band members, and of a band where it's supposed to have 4 people, you see. Because they're struggling, to go into the studio to record. They're struggling now. So it's everything. It's affecting everyone from all walks of life, man. So it's a sad situation. You see, our arts industry. It's. I mean, sorry, man. I get emotional because I
totally get you.
I do feel the artist pain when they complain about these things. But ZIMURA should give people money. You don't have to wait for Mashakada to go get an amputee, then ZIMURA comes and say, when they hear Mashakada is getting his leg amputated, and they coming guns blazing, giving him money. I mean, why are you waiting for him giving money? I mean, these guys, they should give people money when they're still alive, especially when they talk about burying that.
Wow, thanks a lot, Sonny. I really appreciate it. And, Mr. Makombe from ZIMURA has responded to your input, so I'm going to play that and then program.
Okay, all right.
Great.
Okay, President.
Great. So that is Sonny Sambarasi is working with a lot of artists. He's quite passionate about this subject, and I'm going to give you last 2 responses from Mr. Makombe from ZIMURA, and then we close the curtain on this conversation. Quite an enlightening conversation, I must say. I've learned some stuff. I've learned 1 or 2.
Hello, Plot. I'd like to respond to the gentleman's comments concerning our bragging about burying our members. Like I said before, Zimbabwe Music Rights Association is a professional organization. We collect royalties, we collect revenue from the music users and then distribute the royalties to the right holders who are our members. And the burial part, those are some of the benefits a member gets besides royalties that he or she receives from ZIMURA. And since inception, ZIMURA has been paying royalties each and every year.
Okay. So since inception, ZIMURA has been paying royalties each and every year. They might not have paid in full, but definitely artists are getting money.
A point of clarity on the benefits on the funeral policy cover. I had said that we give a 700 US to the deceased family in the event that they bury their own family member using their policy. It's in actual fact $700, not 700 US dollars. Thank you.
Okay. $700, I think it's equivalent to should be about 30 US dollars if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. It's been awesome. It's been a great conversation. To Sonny, to Norman, to Mr. Henry from ZIMURA, and to Mr. Henry Makombe from ZIMURA, the Deputy Director, Shem from Shem and Nathan. I always bring that reference. Also to Lazi T, to Music in Africa, whom I quoted on a number of occasions, and also to the AGM report, which I quoted, to the financial statement, which I quoted, and I hope and pray that every reference that I've made to is factual and seeks to bring clarity, seeks to engage, seeks to bring positivity and positive engagement for the growth of the Zimbabwe music industry. I'm passionate about this. This is why I'm co-organizing the Hip Hop Summit, the Zindanso Summit, and amongst other things, apart from festivals that I'm involved in. I'm quite active in this scene. It's not that I love scandals, it's not that I love negativity, but I love positive conversations, but I also to challenge the systems and bring systems to book. And I'm actually happy that we managed to get feedback from Mr. Makombe from ZIMURA. But we'll send in some of the questions that you guys have dropped so that he's able to respond to them in full. He's quite cooperative, quite responsive, and I appreciate that he actually came on the program without us inviting him, which is quite a positive development from our end. And I appreciate each one of you who's been watching. And so Nisamba says, why wait for the artists when they are dead? Why wait for the artists when they are sick? Why not give them their money when they're still alive? In 30 US dollars, he says it's a pittance. And he says, yes, Mr. Makumbe says no, but that's one of the benefits that we give. Also, Samro does the same. He gives a funeral cover to artists. And until next time, my name is Plot Marco, and you are watching Earground, new voices amplified as the plot thickens. You know, we keep bringing you all the information and everything that you need to hear. And until then.
Earground Radio, new voices amplified.
Earground, peace.